Hey guys, thanks for showing up for this video. Just want to quickly tackle one or two things about the blog post that I did a few days ago. I'm sure most of you guys, you've seen the popularity of blogs and the many blogging successful stories that are coming up in the news, as well as people who are sharing their success both on the social media as well as on the YouTube and even in mainstream news channels like CNN and the like. The most exciting thing, I think, is that we've sort of like now seen a lot of successful stories popping up here and there from developing countries, like if you look at a growing number of successful Nigerians who are becoming really good at making good money off their work from platforms like YouTube, Instagram, as well as setting up a blogging business. So that's the one thing that I kind of like wanted to just go through with you guys today. Starting a blog can be confusing a little bit at some point, because when you read about these successful stories and stuff like that, probably maybe the first thing that pops at the back of your mind is it's got to be the easiest way of making money, and that's probably true. But you have to understand that you have to do a bit of work in the beginning of setting up your blog before you actually start seeing the kind of successful stories that we are seeing. We are seeing a lot of youngsters making between $10,000 to almost $53,000 every month, and these are successful success stories that are coming off a combination of starting a blog as well as a YouTube channel where they're sharing their content simultaneously on these platforms. And as much as I would have loved to see a lot of success stories like these popping up pretty much across the continent, many youngsters who are still unemployed and probably, maybe we should say, have been jobless for the best part of their teen years, they're not taking this initiative, and it's a shame, because it's one of the easiest and cheapest business models you can actually get into. It doesn't require a lot of capital outlay. You could easily start with as little as £50 or even $50 or even $100. It depends on how you want to start. So there are two things I want to accomplish in this video post. I want to quickly sort of like walk you through the process of setting out to start your blogging business, and the process and things that you need to sort of like take into account. It's necessary for you to understand this, because as much as I would love to give everybody a free coupon for web hosting, which is one of the most expensive tools that you're going to have to acquire when you're starting a blog. When you're starting a blog, you need to have a domain name registered. You also need to have web hosting, and because setting web hosting and paying that kind of money is a little bit expensive, so we are running a promotion where we're giving away web hosting for free for a better part of participational period, where we are trying to promote making money online as a way of sort of like helping people who are looking into getting started into the blogging business. But we're also giving away sort of like free training to people who are just getting started in the blogging industry. It's not a get rich quick scheme where you just jump in and start making money just like that, but I think it's something that if you're willing to put in the work, then you are obviously guaranteed to see the kind of results that people are seeing. The misconception I think that many people have in terms of starting a business, more especially the blogging type of business, is that they assume that it's going to be an easy ride, and that's not true. I've been very lucky to sort of like have come across the blogging business opportunities at the earliest stage, when it was a lot easier to start a blog and make money. But now you have to sort of like work at it and make it a point that you're putting in as much work into it in getting things done. So it means writing blog posts, being socially active, as well as shooting videos like I'm doing. And as much as you would think doing this whole setup is very expensive, most of the tools that I use for blogging, as well as for my YouTube channels and stuff like that, is just a cheap microphone which is connected to my mobile phone, and the mobile phone probably with the internet connection. So the entry barrier into this business is pretty much non-existent. The other good news, more especially like for the developing countries, is the fact that pretty much everybody now has a smartphone. And if you don't have a smartphone, obviously it's extremely cheaper to get a smartphone as opposed to hoping that you're gonna get an opportunity to get a laptop. So if you sort of like hang on the idea that you do need expensive tools, successful YouTube channel, that's not true. I do have expensive equipment. One of the cameras is right there, and I also have I think 2 or 3 professional cameras over there, but I don't use them because it's hard work for me to carry them around and walk around, because most of my videos I do them outdoors when I'm about. If I want to do an interview and if I want to do something and stuff like that, all I need is just a very simple equipment. Mostly it's just my mobile phone and a cheap microphone that I think is connected to my mobile phone and doing this. So there are basics that I think you really need to sort of like understand in terms of kind of like putting the whole system together. There is a method to doing this. So if you kind of like wanting to jump in, the first thing you need to understand is that you need to come up with a need. You need to identify a need that you want to solve in a particular community. And this requires for you to kind of like do a bit of an extensive research and finding out what is it that you think when you start blogging your community is going to be looking into. A good example for in this case is my blog, which is at datarace.com. It's all about helping small business owners in getting, getting started, setting up a home business, and then building that business into sort of like a scalable revenue stream. And this involves helping them how to set up their blog, how to monetize their blog, how to strategize and drive traffic to their blog, how to build a how to turn their blogging business into now an e-commerce website, where now you sort of like build a blog, and then on top of that blog you go and build an e-commerce website that delivers products, like physical products as well as digital products to the end user. So there is a system in place that has been put in place, and when you don't know how these moving pieces kind of like moves, you are gonna start a blog and start blogging and probably maybe doing what you do best, writing content, shooting videos and putting them out there. But if there is no method to what you're doing, obviously it becomes a little bit more difficult for you to sort of like see the results that you want. And the last thing that you want to do is to get into this and you blog for 6, 8, 12 months, even 24 months, and you don't see any results coming out of that. That's what I do on my blog. And in this case, you could be venturing into something different from what I do, but it requires you to kind of like first identify, what we would call pressure points in your audience. What is it that they are struggling with that you think you can come in and help them with? Are they struggling to find best places where they can get organic beauty products? So if you can go and aggregate information that helps them to access that, go and help them doing that. And what a blog is going to do is give you a platform so that you can speak to your audience. A lot of people, when they're starting a blog, they kind of like think that when you start a blog and you're going to write for everybody, but that's not true. I may not be an experienced person standing in front of you if you're watching this video, and you probably know a lot more better than I do. But to my community, I'm more an experienced individual that they hold to their highest esteem. And the same applies to anybody who is just starting a blog today in their industry, in their niche market, in the area where they're focusing and dominating. They are an expert in that area. And that's the beauty of a blog. So for me, my blog is a platform that has given me an opportunity to build a community of followers. And I pull up my mobile phone, I connect a microphone, and record a video, or I sit down in front of my computer. I write a blog post, and my readers find value in that. And I have got proof to show for that, because I've got an active community of subscribers who follow my blog, about 64,000 subscribers across my network of blogs. And I think that's evident to me that people find value in some of the information that I share. So if you are planning on starting a blog, make sure you sort of like do a research and find a community that you can target, people you can speak to, and find a solution that you can solve in that community. That's the first thing. And then secondly, you also kind of like do need to sit down and think about what would be your short-term goals and what would be your long-term goals. Because if you don't set your goals in the first place when you're starting off your blogging business, you are going to struggle. But in this case, what I'm trying to say to you guys is, if you're going to set a blog, obviously you need to think about what do you want to achieve in the first the first 3 months of blogging. What do you want your blog to be, or where do you want it to be by the time it hits 6 months? And how much money do you want the blog to start earning in 3 months' time? That will be on 90 days. And what sort of work is it going to take for you to actually be able to move from the day you launch to the day you hit 90 days? What are you going to, how much work is it going to take for you to achieve that? What about in 12 months? Okay, if you are going to go and build a business, an e-commerce business where you're delivering a physical product to your customer or your audience, how long is it going to take for you to actually go and build a business on top of your blog? Because that's the system my business partner Chucks we do help newcomers into the blogging industry. People assume that you just plug in a blog and then things start happening, but that's not the way how it works. The system that we follow, the business model we follow is that we start a blog first. We set goals. First goals for 3 months, then 6 months, then 12 months, then we move on to 18 months, then 24 months. And usually our goals are kind of like threefold. We want to make sure that by the time we hit 90 days or 120 days, we should be earning between $350 to $1,750 per blog. And by the time we hit 12 or 18 months, we want to make sure that at least we are approaching the what would call the $10,000 mark, and this is now when we are looking at a blog that is making at least 120,000 US dollars per year. And that gives us an opportunity to sort of like build a business that is capable of either generating that kind of revenue, which we can now go and reinvest. We have our own models that we use for reinvesting the money that we recoup from the blogs that we start, and that includes buying properties here in UK, as well as in South Africa, and even in Nigeria as well. So it's not like we are just looking at a business that only looks into into starting a blog and then just staying within that, but we're looking at building a very well diversified revenue stream. So if blogging stopped working at some point and we're not making good money, we have sort of like a backup where we have revenue streams coming from left and right. That's the model that we help people in our community and stuff like that. I mentioned about a community. We have a private mastermind group that helps people who are just starting the make money online business, sort of like we help them build their assets to discuss business strategies, and they share what is working and what is not working. That's one of the things that I think is very unique about what our community, because even somebody who has just come into the industry, he's able to jump into our group, and then within that group we've got a private section where is for invites only, and then you've got an open group where you can discuss pretty much everything. But both groups are very helpful depending on what level you are. The level where now is sort of like private is for invites only. This level is where that's the club, the club we call the 10K club. These are people who are moving into sort of like advanced level, where now they are making more than 10,000 US dollars from their blogging business every month. That's what we do. And the other thing I also wanted to sort of mention to you guys is when you're starting a blog, obviously more especially at this particular stage, you have an opportunity to jump into our program where we're giving you web hosting for free for a period of time. And the people who are smart, that period of time that we're giving you, let's say if we're giving you 90 days for free, that's the time now you can actually jump in and bring in your blog to a point where now it's making 1,750 US dollars every month. And that gives you an opportunity to start a business without spending any money, right? Because all you need is just a domain name registration and web hosting, and all the help you need to get the business moving from zero to making 1,750 US dollars every month is provided in our training group. So that gives you an opportunity to sort of like jump in and learn the skills, make the money, and by the time you are required to start paying for your tools, the tools and whatever you need to make your business work, you would have already started making money. The business will be funding itself. So it gives you an opportunity to sort of like have time to plan how do you go about financing your business and stuff like that. But if you're going to start a business, obviously you're going to have to think about the way how you're going to finance your business. And the other thing I also kind of like wanted to speak to you guys is, if you're going to go and start a blog, think about the business model you're going to start. A lot of guys lately they've started like what we call news sites. It's blogging, right? If you're going to go and write current affairs and things like that, that's blogging. But is that business model going to be ideal for you and be able to earn enough money to allow you to pay for the expenses and the other bits and pieces that you're going to incur along the way? Those are some of the things that you also need to think about. So there are so many business models that are available in terms of when you're starting a blog, and those are some of the things I think you kind of like have to think about and make a decision on how you want to go about. In my case, if you ask me, the best business models that I think are available out there is very easy. Most of the people that I speak to, I always tell them, if you are going to go and start a blog, look at success stories that are already existing on the market. Study the business model. There's a reason why people who have been successful at what they are doing are successful, and that they've found a working model that works. And I think if you can look closely into that, you notice that the business model they are applying to their investments is something that you can replicate and apply it into your own business. And this is also one of the reasons why I think I am happy to go into a bookshop, or even go on Amazon, or just go online and buy a book from somebody who is successful at what they are doing. And what that book allows me to do is kind of like look into their into their business, or look at what they've done that has helped them to be successful at what they're doing, and I am able to learn and apply those into my life as well as into my business. So what took them 20 20 years to master and achieve, I'm able to accomplish that within 3 months. Why? Because I have already had somebody take what we would call arrows on his back, on his back. He has already tested, tried, and created a working model that I don't have to go and test quite a lot. All I need to do is just take it, apply it into my business. Voila, I've got a working business, and I'm ready to make money. That's the other thing. And the other thing that I also kind of like wanted to talk to you guys is about making a decision on where you want your business to be built on. A lot of people kind of like think, if I'm going to go and start a blog online, obviously I'll go and start my blogging business on on free platforms, and that's very noble of you, because at least you're trying, you're making an initiative to go and start blogging. But honestly, if you want to make your business, your blogging business, you want to turn it into a real business, starting it on a free blogging platform like Blogger and WordPress.com, it's not a good idea, because whatever content you publish on those platforms, it's not your content. It's owned by the the company. I think Blogger is owned by Google. WordPress.com is owned by the guys who I think is Automatic. So if you're going to start a blog, please don't start it on the free version of WordPress, even if it means going to WordPress.com and buying your own domain. I've seen this. A lot of people have started their blog on Blogger, and they went on and bought a domain, and they're using a free platform to blog. Don't, because these guys, if they decide to shut you down on their platform, that's it. The only thing you can do is probably maybe go and try begging for them to let you continue working on their platform, but usually it doesn't work. If you are gonna start a blog, buy a domain, buy your own server where you can host your own WordPress, and install your own WordPress on that and start blogging. Yeah. And the other thing is, I also wanted to point out that if you're going to establish a business, you might as well think about building a community that's based on having a good reputation and usually reputation is something that I think you can't earn overnight. It's something that you're going to have to build over time. Most of people who have trusted me and given me their email, or maybe invited me into their business to help them sort of like put together the tools that they needed to make their business successful, it's been a process to actually get to that point. There was a time when I couldn't even get 1 or 2 clients every month, but now I get to choose who I want to work with. So for you as a beginner to get to that level, you're going to have to obviously work over time, and you're going to get there, and it's going to happen. And the last thing I also want to stress to you is make sure that from the beginning of starting your blog, if you're going to work to implement the business ideas from home, make sure that building a community, in this case building an email list, is part of what you're doing. And all these strategies and everything that you need to know about starting a business from home, more especially if you're going to use the blogging system as your business model. We teach all these bits and pieces in our free courses that we provide, but also in the private group. In a Facebook private group that my business partner Chucks and I run. So if you guys think that you've got what it takes to sort of like make this work, we've got a 7-day training course that's going on at the moment, where you can jump in, get free web hosting, get your own domain, and install WordPress on your own server, and start building your blog there. And beyond that, we also have what we call the 30-day authority blog launch. That is providing a video each day delivered to you in your inbox, where now it's showing you all the steps that you need to know. I've talked about picking a niche, or picking a problem that you want to solve in your community, finding topics that you can talk and discuss about, and the problems that you can solve in your community, or maybe in your targeted niche. I've also talked about doing a research in terms of establishing and validating if the niche that you've picked is something that I think you can make money, because there are so many subjects that you can actually look into, but only if what you are looking into is able to make you money, then I think that's going to be a business. But if it's just talking wahala, don't even bother yourself doing that. So do that. Look into whatever you need to look into, and validate that the niche market that you're going to go into is something that I think people are making money into it. A lot of people assume or think that if you're starting a blog, you need to go and pick something that people are not doing, there is no competition, and people are not getting into it, and that's not true. Usually, if people are not taking their time to go into that particular niche, chances are that probably maybe there is no money to be made in that particular niche. So go and do something that I think is obvious that other people have already gotten into it and they are making money. And there's quite a lot of them. And in the next 21 days, obviously, and the 7-day training course that I think we are offering, which is available via email, we are sending a list of at least 300 ready-made niches that you can actually just pick and go into it and start doing. And with the training that we've got in place for you guys, by the end of the 120 days or the 90 days that we are talking about here, you would have already started making $1,750 and building to making $10,000 in the next 24 months. That's the calendar we've put in place, and that's the kind of help that we are giving to people who are working with us. I also talked about sorting out your finances. And that's the other thing that we've done, because we know a lot of you guys who are starting blogging, obviously you don't have a lot of money and the last thing you want is you say, I would have loved to do it, but I don't have the kind of money to start setting this up. It's not a lot. Some can start with as little as $19, because all you need is just a domain name registration, and once you register your domain name, you're getting web hosting for free from us. DataRace provides web hosting for small businesses and stuff like that, just in case if you didn't know, and that gives you an opportunity now to have the free web hosting for the first 90 days that you're going to be working with us, and you also get access to free training that we are providing. And on top of that, we are also helping you with the design and the installation of your WordPress blog, and the putting together strategies that you can build on to starting an e-commerce business on top of your blog. So there are 3 phases. The first phase is build. Then the second phase is to build an e-commerce website on top of your blog. Then the third phase, which is like the graduation phase, is where now you've built a successful blog, you've went and built a successful e-commerce website on top of your blog, and now you have 2 businesses bringing you money into your home or into your business. Then now you go and look for diversifying your business so that you can secure pension and things like that, because at my age I've got to start thinking about, okay, when I retire, what sort of revenue streams do I want in place for me, so that I don't have to struggle for bread and butter. I don't usually talk about my old man or maybe people that I know have dedicated 10 years of the best of their productive years. They've worked in government or maybe for companies and stuff like that, and so they can have a good retirement. And when they get to retirement, the governments can't even pay their pension and stuff like that. I've got people who have worked in government who are retired now, 2-3 months, they haven't been paid their pension. And now if you think about a person who has been working for the past 30-40 years, maybe as a teacher or a headmaster or somewhere, helping students like me, for me to go through the system, people spent the best of their productive years to make sure that I was educated and stuff like that. And people like these now, they are retired and they've got no security in terms of whether their pension is going to be paid or not. And this is not something that I think is very unique to one country, more especially in developing countries like Africa. It's common across Africa, and it's built on the fact that there's a common belief that parents usually tell their kids that go to school so you can get a good education and get a good job, and that's perfectly fine. But if we look at history keeps teaching us that even after getting a good job and after getting into what you call the pension scheme, but by the time you retire, when that pension is being paid out, they are actually looking into who gets the pension pot first. Is it going to be soldiers first, police first, or teachers, or is it the doctors and things like that? But when you build your own business and you build your own pension pot, where eventually it is that you wouldn't be able to tell, that's the message. All right, so there's a link below this video. Make sure you click this link, and it should take you to a landing page where you can claim your free web hosting so that you can start building your own your own business on the side. And by the time you hit 90 days, we should be able to see you making the kind of money that we are expecting you to do. And there's a lot of help on Facebook group, as well as when you leave a comment or the blog post and other stuff, so that you can get the kind of help that you need. Cheers.